Big smile.
Lovely. No, didn't need a big smile. There was a natural one there, hiding. Right, we'll swap for this young lady next. I can come up now. It doesn't hurt as much then. So tell me what that's. I love the colours of your dresses.
He was in there.
Two bridesmaids, Nadia and Emma. Dan, Brian. White yeah, no,
Thank you very much.
Get a picture of you and your good, lovely daughter in front of the car. The lovely bridesmaids behind.
His daughter.
Don't worry about the back.
The loveliest one.
Oh!
Thank you.
We're all over that. Yeah, we're all over that today. Tomorrow.
Looking very sharp, Alex.
Thank you.
Right, so if we direct you to this way.
Someone just want to get the dress.
Do you want it on the floor? Oh, nice. Okay.
Told you go down a little bit more.
No, slip in there, Mum. Just kick underneath the dress. Kick underneath it. There you go.
People always say that.
If I can find it.
Can I ask all who are able, please, to stand? a celebration of Clare and Andrew's wedding, a celebration of their love and of their joy. We come together here at Trinity Church in the presence of God to witness the marriage of Clare and Andrew and to ask God's blessing upon them, to support them with our prayers and to share in their joy. And so we do this as we sing our opening hymn. Come to a wedding, come to a blessing, come on a day when happiness sings. Please be seated. Let's come to God in prayer. Let us pray. Gracious God, your generous love surrounds us, and everything we enjoy comes from you. And on this glorious day, we come also to confess our ingratitude for your goodness and our selfishness in using your gifts. Loving God, forgive us and redeem us, and fill us with your Spirit, that in true thankfulness we may bear witness to your love. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Clare and Andrew, on this day we thank God. We thank God for the gift of marriage. It is the will of God that in marriage husband and wife should experience a life of unity of heart, of body and of mind, of comfort and companionship, enrichment and encouragement, of tenderness and trust. It is the will of God that marriage should be honoured as a way of life in which we may know the security of love and care and grow towards maturity. Through such marriage, children may be nurtured, family life strengthened, and human society enriched. So no one should enter into this lightly or selfishly. For marriage involves the giving of man and a woman wholeheartedly to each other, as Christ in his self-giving comes to our help, for he loves us and gave himself for us. Clare and Andrew, you are now to declare that you share this way of life which God has created and in Christ has blessed. Today, we pray that the Holy Spirit will guide you and will strengthen you, and that you may fulfill God's purposes for the rest of your lives. So now I need to ask you to make the declarations which the law requires. And as I said the other day, Clare, you have the easy part because Andrew goes first. So whatever Andrew does, you know he's coming up for you, okay? Are you, Andrew Clare, free lawfully to marry Clare Louise Hill? And are you, Clare Louise Hill, free lawfully to marry Andrew Clare?
I am.
You have made the declarations that the law requires. But the law requires you say something else too. The law requires that you declare that you are free lawfully to marry. It also requires for you to declare that you want to marry each other, which is just a strange quirk of the legal system, but it is true. You can say that you are free lawfully now. I'm asking you to say, do you actually want to get married? Andrew, are you willing to give yourself in marriage to Clare? Will you love her? Will you comfort and honour her? Be her companion through all the joys and sorrows of life? And be faithful to her as long as you both shall live?
With God's help, I will.
And Clare, are you willing to give yourself in marriage to Andrew?
I am.
Will you love him? Will you comfort and honour him? Be his companion through all the joys and the sorrows of life? And be faithful to him as long as you both shall live?
With God's help, I will.
Thank you. You have made the declaration that the law requires. I'll ask you now to take a seat as we hear two readings. Firstly, we're going to hear a reading of St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and then we're going to hear an extract from I Will Be Here.
It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends.
I Will Be Here by Stephen Curtis Chapman. If in the morning when you wake, if the sun does not appear, I will be here. If in the dark you lose sight of love, hold my hand and have no fear, I will be here. I will be here when you feel like being quiet, when you need to speak your mind, I will listen. Through the winning, losing, and trying, we'll be together, and I will be here. If in the morning when you wake, if the future is unclear, I will be here. As sure as seasons were made for change, our lifetimes were made for years, I will be here. I will be here, and you can cry on my shoulder when the mirror tells us we're older. I will hold you to watch you grow in beauty and tell you all the things you are to me. We'll be together, and I will be here. I will be true to the promises I've made to you and to the one who gave you to me. I will be here.
I really want to buy. I haven't yet, because I fear that if I get it, no one will ever talk to me. It said on the mug, warning, whatever you say may be used in the sermon. And so as I say that now, you're beginning to think, quite frankly, in all the conversations we've had, what did you say to me? What did you say to me? When I met you both, there was a very clear sense that your marriage today confirms the love you already have for each other. And both of you said that this marriage, this wedding day, was going to be like setting the foundation for all that follows in your life. Your wedding day, a foundation, cementing a relationship that is already flourishing, ready to face all that the future holds for you both. So I wasn't surprised by your choice of readings today. Those readings you just heard from Stephen Curtis Chapman, as they were read, I don't know about the rest of you, but I could almost hear the two of you reading it to each other, saying to each other, I will be here. For that reading gives us all a picture of the strength of the love that you have for each other. I will be here. Whatever happens and in all circumstances, I will be here, was what we heard in that reading. And in a sense, on this your wedding day, on this the day that is a foundation for the rest of your lives, that couldn't be a better and a better thing to say to each other. You couldn't ask for anything more. And we heard too those famous words of St. Paul, giving you a wonderful picture of what love is. Love as it was first created. Love that comes from God. Together, these two things, these two readings remind us, as if a reminder was needed, that love really does change everything. Andrew and Clare, you are going to be changed by your love one for another. And all those who know you, and all those who are here today, know that this is true, because we've already seen it. We've already seen, Clare, that you bring the very best out of Andrew. And Andrew, we've already seen that you bring the very best out of Clare. And you're going to continue to do so. Why? Why? Because in your marriage you live no longer for yourselves, but for each other. And as if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't exciting enough, there is a saint of old who in her wisdom said, "Be who God intended you to be, and you can set the world on fire. Be who God intended you to be, and you can set the world on fire." Clare and Andrew, together, you could set the world on fire. The possibilities that lie before you are almost endless, yet with each other at your side, the adventure continues. For today in this service, we glimpse who both of you could be. And I have no doubt in my mind that together you will be such a force for good that the rest of us really ought to watch out. For such is the love that you have, one for another. For together and with God, the future promises great things. The future promises wonderful things. And in a few moments, you will make your vows. And you'll make them sincerely, and you'll remember them. But I'd ask you in a day of many words to remember another line in this service too. For after you've made your vows, I will say, Andrew and Clare, God so join you together that none shall ever part you. I'd ask you to remember that it is God who brought you together, who brought you here to this church to be married today. It is God who knows that the very best for you both is to be together. And it is plainly obvious to me and to everybody here. Plainly obvious that here today, the two of you are meant to be together. Clare and Andrew, in a few moments you will make your vows to each other and embark upon the greatest of all adventures. So I simply ask you to remember that the God who brought you together is the God who is with you this day and will be for all eternity. Amen. I'm just looking at Tom to see if he's forgetting that. If not, it won't matter. How are you doing, Tom? If I ask you all to sit down, then you can guarantee you know that age-old trick of turning a doctor. If I get you all to sit down, and then it will suddenly happen and the music starts, they all do well. So it's not going to play. In which case, let's stand. And it goes like this. Join in as soon as you can. Give me joy in my heart, keep me praising. Give me joy in my heart, I pray. Give me joy in my heart, keep me praising. Give me praising till the break of day. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King of Kings. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King. Give me peace in my heart, keep me praying. Give me peace in my heart, I pray. Give me peace in my heart, keep me praying. And keep me praying till the end of day. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King of Kings. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King. Give me love in my heart, keep me praising. Give me love in my heart, I pray. Give me love in my heart, keep me praising. Keep me praising till the break of day. Sing. Let us pray. Gracious God, you have brought Clare and Andrew together in love and trust. Enable them through the power of your Holy Spirit to make and keep their vows through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
So, Andrew, if you will take Clare's hand and say amen. I, Andrew Clare, do
I, Andrew Blair,
take you, Clare Louise Hill,
take you, Clare Louise,
to be my wedded wife,
be my wedded wife,
for better, for worse,
for better or for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer or for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
until we are parted by death.
until we are covered by death.
And this is my solemn vow.
And this is my solemn vow.
I, Clare Louise Hill,
I, Clarice Killer,
take you, Andrew Virgin,
take you, Andrew Bergen,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband.
for better, for worse,
Better for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
richer for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish, to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
until we are parted by death.
until we are parted by death.
And this is my solemn vow.
And this is my solemn vow.
Thank you. Eternal God, bless these rings, that they may be a symbol of love and trust between Clare and Andrew. Amen. Now, Andrew, pick a ring. Yeah, the sparkling ones if you want to do it. And put the ring on Clare's finger. And that is the smoothest anybody has put the ring on the wedding ring on in a wedding service for a long time. And you say, I give you this ring.
I give you this ring,
It's a sign of our marriage.
a sign of our marriage.
With my body I honour you.
My body I honor
All that I am I give to you.
you. All that I am I give to you.
And all that I have I share with you.
All that I have I share with you.
Within the love of God,
Within the love of God.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
And there's one more left. And let's see if this goes on Andrew's finger as well as it went on yours. did. Fantastic. Well done. I give you this ring
This is this ring
as a sign of our marriage.
as a sign of our marriage.
With my body I honor you.
With my body I honor you.
With all that I am, I give to you.
In all that I am, I give to you.
And all that I have, I share with you.
In all that I have, I share with you.
Within the love of God,
Within the love of God,
Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Andrew and Clare. God so good and good, that none shall ever touch you. Before God and in the presence of us all, Clare and Andrew have exchanged their vows. They have joined their hands and given and received a ring, binding themselves to each other in the covenant of marriage. It is therefore my joy and delight to be able to proclaim that they are now husband and wife. Congratulations to you both. And a blessing for the two of you. Clare and Andrew, may God in his eternal love guide you and lead you in all the days to come. May he strengthen the love you have for each other, and may that love flow to your family and friends and to all around you for the rest of your days. And may the blessing of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you this day and in all eternity. Amen. God of grace, source of all love, we pray for Andrew and Clare, that they may live together in love and faithfulness to the very end of their lives. Enrich their friendship, we pray, that each may be for the other a companion in joy and a comforter in sorrow. Help Andrew and Clare to be patient, to be gentle and forgiving, but their marriage may reflect Christ's love for all people, and enable them to continue to make their home a place of welcome and friendship, that their life together may be a source of strength to others. And may we who have witnessed their vows today be signs of your love in all the world. Amen. Amen. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And now who knows what's going to happen? I'm going to try it again. Shall we all stand to sing our closing hymn? Is it going to work? It's not going to work. Right. In which case I need a glass of water. It fills the streets in ancient times, walk upon England's mountains free, and was the holy Lamb of God, on England's pleasant pastures sing, and bid the countenance divine shine forth. so much. And now may the Lord Jesus bless us and keep us. May the Lord make his face to shine on us and be gracious to us. May the Lord look on us with kindness and give us his joy and his peace, this day and forever. Amen. Amen. And so now I'm going to ask Clare and Andrew and the witnesses to gather at the table so that we can sign the sketch.
stairs, ladies, yeah, that's it. Just go. Yeah. Yeah, just take one more step up. No, just the one. Just one. Just you. And looking this way, looking lovely. Just want to drop your flowers down. In fact, work the camera. Loving it. Jump up, you go. Try and find something to get you out of this situation too.
You're all itching to throw stuff at the bride and groom. If you need to picture one screen like tonight with a done it, by all means jump out. I will photograph it. This lady here, I just could see her and I was like, yeah, I'm going to jump out and do that. So they will get to you. Don't throw too early. You've got to pick it all up really quick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, head down. I'm going to take a picture of your bottom. Slowly towards these two lovely gentlemen. Are you ready with your bed? Okay.
Did anybody miss that? Because it came down so fast. I thought there was a 100-metre starting gun went on. Walk back, go on, walk back.
Slow walking.
She's going to come up there much quicker. Well, having just walked through time with the groom, I know what the problem is.
Okay, cut. Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alan, the father of the bride. For those of you who do know me, I'm so sorry. Thank you for coming today. We could have done this without you, but it wouldn't have been half as much fun, but it would have been a lot less expensive. I know that many of you have come quite some distance for today, so especially thank you very much for that. Almost 30 years ago, Trish and I were blessed with the arrival of Clare into our lives. Clare was lucky enough to have been raised in a beautiful part of the country and have a very supportive and loving wider family base. Sadly, some of those people who supported us are no longer with us, but they arranged the weather, so that's okay. Her upbringing allowed her to blossom into the kind, generous, intelligent and beautiful woman that she is today. And we're so proud of her. Clare first met Andrew several years ago at university when they shared lectures together. Clare's not one for social media, and when Andrew sent her a Facebook message asking her for a date, she replied, but just a year later. Shortly after that, they started dating, but then Clare disappeared to God's county of Yorkshire to do her masters in Sheffield. She She really didn't make it easy for the poor lad. Andrew, you're clearly a very patient person, but I guess you must have known then that Clare was the one for you. After several years of dating, they eventually bought a house together, and then pretty much immediately had to spend every day, all night alone because of the pandemic. If that's not a true test of love, then I don't know what is. It certainly tested me and Trish. I've never once witnessed a harsh word between them. I think that's actually quite remarkable. One interesting thing though, just before the pandemic, I know they planned to get engaged. But I'm not actually sure they ever did. Are you allowed to get married without getting engaged? Just asking. As we got to know Andrew, he's shown us that he really is the perfect match for Clare. He's such a kind, generous, loving and intelligent person. Not to mention patient. Remember the Facebook message? Andrew regularly shows us how much he loves and cares for our daughter, and proves to us that he will be a great husband and life partner. He's also beginning to support Oxford United, who, by the way, who, by the way, played Doncaster today and generously gave up their lead so you could draw. Unfortunately, Doncaster didn't win 27-0 as they needed to stay up, so they've been relegated. Welcome to the family, Andrew. Eventually, I promise that you will get used to my sense of humour. Albeit, in the meantime, I'm having a great deal of fun. At this point in my speech, I'm supposed to share marriage advice with you both. Trish and I have been together for almost 44 years, married for 36. God, that makes you feel old. My only advice is, get yourself a Trisha. Actually, Andrew, I think you found her. In Clare. If I could all ask you now to stand and raise your glasses to the bride and groom, Clare and Andrew. Over to you, Andrew. Son.
Thank you, Alan. I'll be upfront about the fact that public speaking isn't exactly my forte. I can recall my GCSE drama exam, which for those of you who didn't take the subject, is the only part of that course that actually requires any acting. And how I went in on track for an A star, came out with a B. So that's the level of performance I've got to better today. Firstly, I'd like to just reiterate how happy Clare and I are to see as many of you here as there are. We know a number of you have travelled quite a way, a number have travelled from overseas, and that effort during a pandemic, particularly when we planned this, is appreciated. So thank you all for that, first of all. This wasn't going to be in the speech, but thank you all for attempting the a cappella. I promise I gave that guy the music files, I just don't know. But you all did great. And as a side note, I personally am pleased that as many of you found your way to your respective places as you did. Clare and I, we tried a bit of cursive with these place cards, and for the ones I did, it reduced my handwriting down to the level it was when I was 4. So, as far as I'm concerned, the fact anyone made it to their places is a miracle. So that's awesome. Continuing on that, planning a wedding has encouraged me to bite off more than I can chew, I think, on a number of occasions. Probably the best one was when we went to our wedding fairs and we were looking at cakes. One of the ladies we were talking to asked me directly if I was planning to bake my own wedding cake. Which is obviously a ridiculous question, right? But in my naivete, I still went off and actually looked at it. you'll all be pleased to know that I didn't decide to do that. So for the stage of the evening, the cake's safe. Have a slice. But since you're all here, I've got some thank yous to say. Firstly to Alan and Patricia. I went into this, the preparation for this, thinking, nah, I've been to a few weddings in my time, I've watched people get married, and the groom never has to do that much work. That absolutely did not pan out for me. Because of how involved I got, I could see the amount of details you were managing and how much you were keeping everything together in the background, so really appreciate it. What's also been handy is the use of your telling off voice for some of the suppliers, which for some reason you're better at than me. Can't imagine why. I'd like to thank my own mum and dad, Elsa and Clare. I can only really see as an adult the amount of sacrifices they've made to put me where I am. Wish I'd seen it sooner, but thank you both. I got you. Rebecca Killen, as maid of honour, has done a banging job, and has gone above and beyond what I was expecting anyway. That selfie booth, that I don't know if you've all seen it, but there's one out there. Didn't know about that until this week, because she handled it all with cold and ruthless efficiency. So that was awesome. If she wasn't already so good at what she already does for a living, I'd say there's a future as a wedding planner, but yeah, probably stay where you are. Shout out to Anya, Emmy and Rebecca Neiman in the end. You all look lovely and you've added a bit of class where I may not have added it, so thank you for that. Uncle Brian and Aunt Rosie, who I can now call that, thank you for producing the orders of service for the wedding. Took a few revisions, but we got there. And Brian has also taken on the task of recording the ceremony and, this bit. And in doing so, taken on the unenviable task of making me look good on video. So I'm sure he did fine, but we'll see how that turns out. I'm looking forward to it. Maxwell, who's moved. This was he was told to sit there. This was his first time being part of a wedding party, I understand. But given that everyone was in the church at 1, I could hear a lot of yelling going on in the background. I'd say you've done a really good job. Particularly, for anyone that doesn't know him, balancing trips to and from Grenada as well. So extra thank you to Max. Which leads me to Clare. The last 3 years have been by far the most stressful and pressured of my circumstance. And you've been there the whole way. And as Alan has said, we've lived together during a pandemic and you've not killed me. So I'm pretty happy about that. She did actually offer to do this speech for me in exchange for doing the dishes when she didn't want to. It may be that public speaking isn't as hard as I make it look, or maybe she just really hates housework, but it was a lovely gesture, and it's indicative of the kind of person she is, that she puts others above herself. Even for something as important as this. At this point, I don't know what marriage is realistically going to throw at us that's going to challenge us more than the last couple of years, but I know there's no one I'd rather do it with. We've supported each other through the bad days, we can enjoy the good ones, and we'll keep going. I don't want to let this moment go as well without acknowledging Clare's dress. There's obviously the tradition that grooms aren't allowed to know what the bride's dress looks like. But Clare has taken this to another level and has had a lot of fun with me over the last year, telling me as many elaborate lies about what she's wearing. Many of them conflicting and mutually exclusive. And it got to the point actually where she asked me to draw last night what she looked like. I got more of it right than I thought I would actually, but I'm glad you've been able to have a bit of fun with it, and you look lovely. Truth be told, she could probably have turned up here in a bin bag and I'd have said the same thing, but nevertheless, you look lovely. So in a moment, I'll be passing you over to Oscar, my best man. My final thank you is to him, because I couldn't have asked for a better one. He's been calm, he's been super helpful the whole way, and yeah, couldn't have asked for a better one. I'm hoping that in 10 minutes' time I'll be able to say the same when you're done. Yeah, thank you as well. So I'll hand you over to Oscar, but thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of the day.
Right, okay, I've got to follow that now. Andy, I think let's start this where we started our friendship. So there's Mars bar, and there is a can of Dr. Pepper for yourself. That will become relevant in a minute. So hello everyone, I'm Oscar. I know we're all full of food and have had just a lovely, lovely time, and I hope to not spoil that in the next sort of 8 minutes or so. I've known Andy for about 17 years now, and I've decided that he was my friend about 14 years ago. Again, I'll come to that in a minute. But I have the rather enviable task of dishing the dirt, so to speak, on Andy here. Normally any best man would relish this. Delving through their back catalogue of japes and hijinks, and I will get to them, but I must begin with a little trip to the Dugan household about 6 months ago, in which I went fishing for some information on this fine gentleman here. I had hopes of incredible, hilarious stories when he was a young man, but I think I discovered what we already know. Andy is a really nice lad who doesn't really do embarrassment, almost. However, he's not here, but Elsa was very keen to dish the beans on Daniel, so he's got a lot of a longer list. Therefore, Claire, in this speech, I'm not going to necessarily dish the dirt on Andrew, but rather I'd like to give you a full picture of his life to this point, so that you can enter married life with some pointers that might help you as you go along. The one story I did get from Elsa paints Andy as a very headstrong young man. And I would advise you, Claire, to make sure you keep your eyes on him when he's out in town. At the age of 4, Andrew was visiting his grandparents in the wonderful village of Dorchester. And his mother had informed him that she was going to the shops. Andy didn't believe this. However, most 4-year-olds probably will kick and scream and cause a tantrum. Andrew, he decided that he was going to take it further. And he took him and his brother and walked them down the main road back home. Presumably, at this point, I think was caught on the main road by his mum, and then Andrew was locked in his room for the rest of the year. But my first piece of advice is just keep an eye on him. But the fact that he hasn't wandered down the road today, I think we're doing well. Secondly, Claire, sometimes Andy needs things deciding for him. When we reached year 10, fate had turned Andy's work experience to the same place as some silly curly-haired geek. And because we didn't have any social skills between us, that's fair, we hadn't really properly talked. During lunchtimes at the British Geological Survey, Andy and I would discuss our mutual love of video games, especially Mario Galaxy. And at this point, I decided that Andy was my friend. And so I bought Andy a Dr. Pepper and a Mars bar, and we were friends forever. He soon became part of our friendship group with Fraser and others. And in short, the moral of the story is, if you ever want Andy to do anything, just bribe him with a Mars bar. As we moved through our teenage years, our friendship turned into a real sense of firsts for Andy. I took Andy on a plane for the first time, while also causing him to fail his passport application 4 times due to the pen I was using to write it. But Andy slowly came out of his shell, revealing one of the most dry and sarcastic senses of humour I've ever discovered. This would later grow into confidence. Confidence that I think grew when, about the age of 15 and 16, I would ring the house phone. And I'd ring the house phone and I'd ask for Dugan. And Andy was handed the phone. So something happened that was right, and I think it just comes from Andy's easygoing style of life and the way he walks, just both hands in pockets. Now, I've told you, have a little watch of it. As a late teenager, Andy rarely removed his hands from his pockets, and I think that reflects the kind of laid-back chap he is. Claire, I clearly don't need to tell you about his charm, his good looks and wit. And you even quoted it yourself. Andrew befriended Claire and gathered all the information on his potential dream girl. And I actually remember being told by Andy that he had, quote, chatted up a girl on the bus. Like good friends, Fraser and I tried to play it cool, asking for more information. However, like the loud-nosy guys we are, we immediately bombarded him with more questions. But Andy was a true gentleman. He is clearly taken with you now, as ever he was. And what a catch you have. I do now come to some more thorny advice. He can be quite suggestible. This is a dangerous power, Claire, and you must use it carefully. To quote a higher power, Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. During Andy's first work conference, out with his new job, he was keen to impress. Now, as long as I've known Andy, he's never been a big drinker. He'll have a few, but he'll know his comfortable zone, and he'll probably, after a few drinks, come and play video games with me for the rest of the evening. But at this conference, Andy was keen to say yes. Hello, yes, it's Andy. Pleasure to meet you. Yes, please take my business card. Yes, I'll have a beer. Yes, I'd like a red wine. Yes, I wouldn't mind a vodka Red Bull. Yes, a round of Jaeger bombs. Suffice to say that Andy then experienced, and I quote, the mother of all hangovers. Luckily, he had made a good enough impression that his co-workers covered him for the rest of the day at the conference, and he spent the rest of the day recovering on a diet of water, and I quote here, willpower. Lastly, Claire, I now must reach the most difficult of all advice to pass on to you. What I'm about to say may ruin the day, I'm sorry. I apologise for the shocking revelation of which I'm about to reveal. Andy supports Liverpool Football Club. This, of course, would naturally turn you against him. The scary thing is that he grew up in a household of mostly Manchester United supporters, clearly superior. He's marrying into a family of staunch Oxford United fans. How did it go so wrong? Even on one Red Nose Day, I offered Andy my Manchester United top to wear to try and convert him, and I took the physical and emotional scarring in wearing his Liverpool top for the day. Nevertheless, over the years we've had many highs and lows, and I certainly avoided Andy the day that Torres destroyed Vidic at Old Trafford. But when we had moved into our house in October, Andy didn't come over until Liverpool were 3-0 up against United. He wanted to make sure that they were winning. So Claire, I think together we can try and stomp out this horrible habit. It might take a lifetime, but I think we can do it. Despite this, Claire, you are marrying an intelligent, kind and funny man who I've had a real privilege to know over the years. I wish you every happiness, and I know that you're going to be very happy together. So, can I finish by asking everyone to be upstanding, please? To the bride and groom.
So, shall we start with the plum?
Yes.
Okay.
I do know where these ones are.
So here are some flowers for our plants. One is for my mum, who has really helped us. I'm hoping we can get them out of the box. Thank you. And the other one is for the original Mrs. Cooker. our lovely bridesmaids. So who wants to go first? Is Emily here?
She's commandeered a seat down here.
Okay, in that case, should we start with the maids of honour, if that's okay? So this one is for Rebecca, my sister. Thank you so much for what you've done in terms of like making the photos and keeping me calm and me positive. Oh yeah, thank you. Are you ready for your present? Yeah. Because you look so beautiful and you did so well, didn't you? Yeah. So here is the present just for you. Okay, in that case, you probably better work circularly. So Anya, would you like to also come and collect your present? Thank you. And then last but not least, we have little newbie. So, but just to avoid confusion. Okay, so we have two presents here for my Uncle Brian and Auntie Rosie. Hopefully someone can collect them on the spot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much
Claire.
for your help with making all the orders of service.
Thank you, Claire.
Videoing. We just have two more under the table. You do? Great. Thank you so much for your help being best man in order. And this one is for you, so could you please come back and get it? So unless my new additional brain can remember anyone else.
No, we're good.
Okay, thank you very much and thank you for listening to all that. I think in a minute we're going to move out there if that's okay. So
Around there?
yeah, all out there. Still sunny, hopefully. Hopefully it's not going to rain, but who knows. Yeah, so, but thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening. Can't wait.
One last toast to the happy couple.
That's all I've got left.
So they're going to reconfigure the room, bring the DJ in, and presumably there'll be a point at which you'll notice that it's happening. So.